financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is drilling down on Chapter 13. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. Pleasure to be here this morning.
Jeffrey Kirshner.
Nice to see you, Ken.
Good to see you. Jim Samasco.
Always a pleasure to be here, Ken.
It's like we never know which Samasco we're going to get. It's good to see you. Everything
It's
good?
to be here, yeah. Life is good.
And you never know which Jeff you're going to get. You get
That's true.
one
Jeff
or
Linden,
both,
Jeff
or
Linden
switch
is
them out?
preparing for trial today, so he is out for the day.
You can be assured that we always know which Brian we're going to get and which Ken we're going to get.
Yes, some things are certain in life,
Yep.
and those are them.
The yin-yang of our show.
So, drilling down
the
on
yin yang or the yo yo?
There you go. Let's kind of look at some different nuanced points on Chapter 13. Some special points.
Well, yeah. I mean, the key here is we're going to go a little different angle today. I mean, we talk about Chapter 13 bankruptcy a lot, but try to give people a little more nuance and understanding of it.
But the first thing I want to hit on, though, is when do you need a Chapter 13?
Well, these days, it's question is when don't you need a
When's
Chapter
the
13?
most time that you need
If
a
you're
Chapter
facing
13?
a foreclosure.
Okay.
That's the biggest issue.
Why?
Well, when you're facing a foreclosure, you have three options that face you if you want to keep your home. Well, two options if you want to keep your home. You can write a check and bring yourself current
On the mortgage.
on the mortgage.
If you have the money,
Right.
which you don't.
I guess I'm back to three. Or you can seek a loan modification, which are possibly successful. We're going to talk about why they're bad these days in a little
But
bit.
even if you do that, you have to get the loan modification before the house is foreclosed.
Or you can file Chapter 13 and stop the foreclosure. But you have to do that before the sheriff's sale date.
Right, so when is the sheriff's sale date? I mean, if the lender sends you a letter saying if you don't pay, we're going to exercise our remedies and foreclosure property, is that the foreclosure?
No. The foreclosure is an actual sale on the county steps by the sheriff. And there are requirements that the lender must meet before they can sell the property. They have to send you a notification, they have to publish, or they have to file a lawsuit to do a foreclosure. There's two ways you can
And
foreclose.
pragmatically speaking, they don't file lawsuits. Virtually all foreclosures are by advertisement.
In
where
Michigan,
they
that's correct.
Foreclose by publishing. The statute says 4 weeks, but most of the law firms publish for 5.
That's correct.
And they will post that and give you a copy of the notice will be sent to you and typically posted on your door as well.
Rubber banded on the door in a plastic bag.
And then
Yep.
you know the date of the sale. So if the date of the sale is Tuesday, June 5th, when do you have to file the Chapter 13 by?
Well, preferably by Monday, June 4th, but technically you can legally file up to a minute before the sheriff's sale.
And if it's a minute after,
You're done. You lost.
you lost. Okay, so the takeaway here is if you're facing for Chapter 13 is the one remedy you have that stops that foreclosure sale, and it's critical to do that if you want to preserve your rights in the home.
And it forces the mortgage company to accept repayment over as much as 5 years. Instead of, if you're facing a foreclosure and you want to stop that, you can reinstate your mortgage by writing them a check immediately.
But
Well,
this gives you
5 years.
What other circumstances do you need a Chapter 13? What about if they're about to repossess your car?
It can stop the repossession of a car and give you time to restructure that debt.
What if they took it on Friday? What if today's Sunday. If they took my car on Friday, can I come to you on Monday and get the car back through Chapter 13?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so it's different than in a foreclosure on a house. Because if I come to you after the house is going to sale on the foreclosure, you can't get the house back.
Actually, it's the same. I can get your car back until they sell it at a repossession auction.
Oh, okay. So if they've just picked it up, you can get it back.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
You do have to have full coverage insurance on your vehicle if you have financed that car in order to get it back, though.
What if you have too much income or too many assets for a Chapter 7? Is that when you go to a Chapter 13?
Theoretically, Chapter 13, again, when we're looking at getting you out of debt, restructuring your debt, making things affordable, what are we doing? We're going to try and find the least costly, most effective method to accomplish that goal. Chapter 13 is a possible solution. It certainly becomes the required solution if you want to keep your house and you're facing a foreclosure, if you want to keep your car and you're facing a repossession.
All right, what if you have just a mega amount of credit card debt, but you're making $200,000 a year and you've got $200,000 of equity in your house? Are you a Chapter 13 candidate? Or what do you do then?
Legally, yes, you're a Chapter 13 candidate. Is it the best choice for you? Not necessarily.
So what do you do then? Just pay the credit cards at 25% interest for the rest of your life until you turn 90 and you still owe them $100,000?
What's the matter with you? Do not ever say something like that. Like, really?
So what's the solution?
Debt resolution.
And how does that work?
The concept of debt resolution is simple. Paying less than what you owe on the total debt. Settling the debts for pennies on the dollar.
You always talk about this power of the minimum monthly payment. You have 40 seconds to explain what that is.
The minimum monthly payment, which
Tick,
you're making
tick, tick.
every month, as long as you can afford to make that payment, you can create a nest egg. Instead of paying the debt, you save the money. We create a nest egg, a war chest, to negotiate with your credit card companies, and we can settle those debts inside of 18 months generally and get you out of debt with the money you were normally paying.
Use the monthly payment to settle the debt, and that way you get to 2 years and you're out of the debt.
Correct. And I'll tell you something before we go to break. I just saw a credit card that if you paid the minimum monthly payment, it would take 52 years to pay off the credit card debt.
That's older than you. We'll take a break.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
I was married for 57 years before my husband died.
Simasco Law had established a trust for them before this happened.
There's so much to do in the beginning, but after about a month, you're kind of alone.
We deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
If you continue to have good support and know that your finances and your estate is in order, that's one thing that's so comforting. I would just highly recommend Simasco Law.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress.
Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
All right, so we're back. So we're talking about Chapter 13. Jim, I thought you said you had a question.
Yeah, if you're filing Chapter 13, do both spouses have to participate in the Chapter 13?
The answer is no and yes. You can file, one person in a marriage can file the bankruptcy, but we look at...
And that'll stop the foreclosure?
It will, as long as that person is an owner of the property or is on the mortgage, either way. In that way, if that case might not work for some reason, we actually have the other spouse to have a second bite at the apple. So strategy occurs a lot of time when we're looking at Chapter 13. We do look at the total income and total expenses of the household, regardless of whether we're involving the wife or the husband, and only one party is going to file.
So in most cases, would you only file it under one spouse's name?
It depends. It depends on how much debt there is. If
both spouses have credit card debt in each of their names, then
Right.
you need to file both.
Right. It just depends. The situation is, wait for it, individual to the individual, and the solution
I was
is
shocked
individual to the
that
individual.
you might say something. What about car loans? Is there, right now we're seeing car loans at $900 and $1,000 a month, and on the secondary market, we're seeing interest rates at 25 and 28 and 30%.
That is correct.
What can you do? Would Chapter 13 help there?
It does. First of all, we can restructure the car loan to have you pay what the car is worth, depending on how old the car is. We can lower your interest rate from that 25 to 30%, probably down to a more respectable 8% these days. It used to be that I could lower it down to 4%, but we have to go with what the market actually is, what prime plus an interest factor, a risk factor. It's called the till rate. But yes, we can save you a considerable amount of money and restructure your car loan.
All right, how about taxes? Property taxes and also income taxes.
Well, they are both treated the same, sort of. A property tax is a secured debt. It's a lien on the home or the real estate, and we can take that property tax debt and stretch that out over 5 years, paying it either at 12% interest, which is the normal interest rate on a property tax, or 18% interest if you're in default. That's what the state and the counties allow for. But we still give you 5 years to catch it up instead of them foreclosing the next state foreclosure.
What about income taxes?
Income taxes, again, I can get rid of them conceivably. We can discharge them and eliminate them and pay them as little as 0 cents on the dollar, unless they're what we call a priority tax, in which case they do have to be paid back in full, but we pay those back at 0% interest. So there's a lot of manipulation I can do.
Tax.
Income tax is controllable. Property taxes are controllable. Stopping a repossession is possible. Stopping a foreclosure is possible. The only thing that I can't do is make you understand that if you don't act before the bad
sale.
event happens, nothing's going to help you.
All right, let's do a couple case studies. Bill and Sherry, early 50s, savings $5,000. In retirement, they have $100,000. They have a house fair market value of $350 with a mortgage of $300, $80,000 in credit card debt, $40,000 in tax debt. Combined income, Bill makes $75, Sherry makes $30, so they got about $135 coming in. That translates to $9,100 a month net coming in after taxes. Mortgage payment of $2,250. Their credit card payments on that $80,000 run $2,000 a month. They're paying $1,800 a month at 25% interest on 2 car payments. Gas, insurance, $800. Taxes that from 20 and 21, they're on a monthly installment plan of $1,000 a month. Right now, their expenses after everything are running $10,750. They're $1,650 behind, short. That's why the credit cards are up to $80,000. What should they do?
Well, this is one of those ones where we look at it and say, a Chapter 13, first of all, they can't file a Chapter 7.
Why?
They have too much income into the household, even though they don't have a lot of equity. If they had less income, they would probably be a candidate for a Chapter 7 and that would eliminate their credit card debt.
What's the threshold?
It depends on the size of the family. So, but in general, if you're a family of 4 and you're looking to file a Chapter 7, if you otherwise don't have too many assets that would cause you to need to file a 13, you could probably be making $120,000 a year for a family of 4 and file a Chapter 7.
Well, what if one loses their job or quits?
So that's an interesting question. Losing your job is a life event. Then we look at their then situation, and they will probably qualify for a Chapter 7. Quitting your job is allowed. I mean, you can't be forced to work. We got rid of compulsory work the other day.
So what happens?
You still, again, look at the totality of the circumstances and see, do they qualify for Chapter 7? But then we have the things called the means test. So we have to look at what happened in the 6 months prior to the day you file the bankruptcy. If you qualify by passing that test, then you're going to qualify overall.
So if you quit and wait 6 months, are you okay?
You don't have to necessarily wait 6 months. You have to pass the means test. It could be not working for 1 month, and then you pass.
But so can you run into trouble if you intentionally quit in order to plan your Chapter 13, or not really?
Or a Chapter 7. The argument is always that was it filed in bad faith.
Okay. But if you plan it the correct way, you can kind of
you're going to get a.
You can kind of plan the way of getting out of working and quitting the job
100%.
so that it doesn't. Okay.
Because sometimes people just can't work anymore either. You know, they're working to pay their bills. What's the point of that?
All right, we're going to take a break and then tell me whether Bill and Sherry do a Chapter 13 and how it works.
Okay.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Pat was recommended by a friend who insisted that we really needed a trust. And he said, I know somebody who will do a good job for you.
At Samasco Law, we deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
We had excellent service from Samasco Law. Any questions we had were addressed. Our estate is in order, and it had been set up so well that nothing needed to be done. I would just highly recommend Samasco Law.
Time for announcements. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff. Sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-4357. Also, go online to our website to get our free reports. Resolving tax problems, the real solutions. Bankruptcy, is it right for me? How to save your home from foreclosure. Business formations, loans, and grants for small businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And the Retiree's Guide to Social Security. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We were just spinning. We just didn't know what was going to happen next.
At Samasco Law, we deal with these issues every day, especially elder law. Pat went to work for Fran.
Patrick was there holding my hand, kept saying, "We'll get through this, we'll get through this."
He got her husband Medicaid and in a nursing home. Samasco Law got the success they deserved.
Samasco Law is definitely family to me. I really appreciate knowing all of you.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so Brian, so what do Bill and Sherry do? You've told us how the 13 works.
Right. So in their case, because they're actually in their budget, they still had money that they were paying towards the credit cards, and they had money that they were paying towards the IRS, but they were negative $1,650. If we remove that and we said, well, let's just take the money that they're paying for the IRS plus $150, we literally can have them in a Chapter 13 pay back the IRS the taxes that are non-dischargeable and pay almost nothing to the credit cards. So of the $80,000 of the credit card debt, they might get paid $5,000. So Chapter 13 for them is the perfect solution.
So end of 5 years, and during the 5 years, they're paying what they're earning, so they're not negative.
Right.
And at the end of 5 years, they have zero credit card debt and zero tax debt. And then at that point, they're plus.
Yeah, by over $1,000 a month, just by
And then they can
manipulating
save for
the
retirement.
situation. Yep.
Okay. All right. Another case study. Different couple.
Two of them today.
Nick,
Wow, go figure.
Nick and Jenny, early 50s, $75,000 in savings, $300,000 in retirement, $950,000 fair market value on their house, mortgage $650,000. So they got a lot of equity. Credit card debt, $150,000. Nick's income is $175,000. Jenny's $90,000. So they got $265,000 of income. Their net income each month is $16,000 a month. They got a big mortgage payment of $5,700. Their credit card payments are hitting them for a whopping $3,750 a month. Car payments and everything else, their expenses are running $15,750. They're still positive. They're positive $250 a month.
Right.
But the question is, what should they do? Just keep paying the credit cards?
So in this situation, no, they should not keep paying the credit cards. They're still stealing from their retirement, and they're still not prepared to have any problems down the road. So they got to get rid of the credit card debt, period.
So why not just take the $75,000 in savings, cash out the retirement, pay the penalty, get the net dollars necessary, and then just write a check for the credit cards?
Well, that's about as foolish of a solution as you can come up with. It's just a bad idea. We can get rid of the debt using, I want to hear like an echo when I say it, the power of the minimum monthly payment.
And then you see in the background the words debt resolution flashing behind you.
Right, sure. What we've got is $3,750 a month to work with, plus another $250 that they have spare, on top of all the miscellaneous money that they're flushing down the toilet. The key here is that Nick and Jenny can settle their credit card debts for probably around 40 cents on the dollar, get rid of it using the payments that they're already paying, the $3,750. They could qualify for a Chapter 13, but they would repay all of their credit card debt over a 5-year stretch at about 8% interest.
Whereas in debt resolution, zero interest, you're paying 40%
of what you owe.
And you're done in 2 years.
But how
less
is
than
it,
2 years.
How is it you reduce that debt so much in terms of payment of the credit card debt?
So we're really good at negotiating.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So who do you negotiate with, the credit card company?
So you're negotiating with the credit card companies, you're negotiating with the collection agencies, you're negotiating with the attorneys on the other side, depending on who's the opponent, so to speak. The key is to make sure that the client has a plan in place to save the money and set it aside, because the war chest needs to be there to battle with. But all these companies do settle their debts.
In simple terms, I owe you $10,000. I'm not paying you. Take a hike. You're not getting a penny from me.
Well, I'm going to sue you then.
Okay, go ahead.
Sue me. Hire your lawyer and everything else. At the end of the day, what happens? You settle with me.
Sure.
And the best settlement for you is when I pay you voluntarily, because it's easy. So instead of getting the $10,000, you take $4 and you're done.
How likely are the credit card companies willing to negotiate?
Always.
We've been doing it for
30 years.
But you have to know how, and you have to know how far you can push them, and when the good deal is and when the bad deal is.
So in other words, in the words
they'll
of Kenny
tell you.
Rogers, before we finish for today, you got to know when to hold them, and you got to know when to fold them.
And on that note, there's just nothing to add. Have a great week. We'll be back with Law and Reality next week.